Okay, so this is going to be a 5-minute overview before we cover nutrition, cell nutrition, and public health in class. So let's just look ahead really quickly. On Monday, we're going to talk about energy balance. This video will give you a quick overview of that, and then we'll talk about the 6 categories of nutrients on Monday. Notice that you have a homework assignment. You're going to need to record your diet and exercise in like a food journal type thing. I have a handout, you can print that out. And that'll be due Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll do cell nutrition, talk about healthy lifestyles on Thursday, and Friday we'll think about this on a broader scale and talk about public health. So what are nutrients? Starches and carbs get broken down into glucose, proteins break down into amino acids, and lipids and fats break down into fatty acids. And these smaller nutrients can be used by your body. They can enter into the bloodstream. There's also other nutrients. Water, fiber, vitamins, and minerals are also essential to being healthy. So this is an important concept, energy balance. The idea is that we maintain our weight by exerting the same amount of energy as we consume. So if we eat more calories than we burn, we gain weight. And if we burn more calories than we consume, we lose weight. And then if we consume the same amount of calories we burn, we maintain the same weight we are at. So different things go into the food choices we make, hunger and appetite, as well as social and psychological, physiological factors, all play into what foods you want to eat. And then as far as energy expenditure goes, our metabolic processes and physical activity determines that. So it's a little bit more complicated than calories in minus calories out, because we all have different rates of metabolizing the food we eat. And several factors determine our metabolic rate. So I'll go into those in a minute. There's something called the resting metabolic rate, and this is the amount of calories your body uses at rest for different processes, breathing and digesting food and every process that happens inside your body. So this has to do with how much oxygen is consumed. So for every 1 liter of oxygen, 5 calories are released. So a person with a lot of lean muscle burns more calories even at rest, because muscle uses more oxygen than fat cells. So the resting metabolic rate is a really important number for weight loss. You should know that. For me, I'm 5'6". I use 1,400 calories a day, just not doing anything. So we'll look into that though on Thursday. So factors that affect our metabolism. Age and gender. If you are older, your metabolism slows down, as well as women have more adipose tissue or fat tissue and less lean muscle mass than men. So women have a slightly slower metabolism because of that. I already talked a little bit about this, but muscle has higher oxygen consumption than fat tissue, and thus burns more calories more efficiently. That's why they tell you to lift weights if you want to lose weight, because that muscle mass will help you. And hey, women can be bodybuilders too, yeah! Sorry. All right. Activity level is also key. When muscles are physically active, they increase the metabolic rate. And then actually, even 2 hours after you work out, your metabolic rate stays elevated. So Mrs. Obama is actually starting a health campaign called Let's Move, and it's geared towards reducing the level of childhood obesity in the U.S. And we'll talk about that on Friday. And then diet plays a role. As I mentioned, your resting metabolic rate, which we talked about, actually increases after you eat. This is a phenomenon termed diet-induced thermogenesis. So this is why they tell you to eat breakfast. It actually wakes up your metabolism. So not all calories are the same. Fat cause relatively little diet-induced thermogenesis, whereas protein increases the metabolic rate the most. So for breakfast, maybe try to get some protein in there. And then the last thing is your hormones and your genetics affect your metabolism. And we'll talk about this more in depth on Tuesday and Wednesday. The hormones you'll need to know are insulin and glucagon. These are produced by the pancreas, and they regulate your blood sugar levels. And then leptin and neuropeptide Y are secreted by the brain, hypothalamus, and we'll talk about that. That plays a role in hunger and appetite. And finally, genetics play a role in determining your metabolic rate. So there's this idea of nutrient-dense foods. You could be getting the right amount of calories all day and still be malnourished if you're eating empty calories like soda and white flour. You're not getting nutrients. So this is why we need to focus on being healthy and not on losing weight. That is part of being healthy, but that shouldn't be the end-all goal. And we'll explore this. We'll look at what happens to malnourished cells, what happens when you're not getting enough nutrients. And we'll talk about lifestyle change and what that means. And then finally, Friday, we'll talk about public health. It'll be really exciting. I'm sure you're all familiar with the food guide pyramid. That was a public health campaign. As I mentioned, Ms. Obama's doing something now to address childhood obesity. So it should be a really good week. Make sure to keep track of the food and exercise you get, and I'll see you in class. Okay, so I know this is going to put me slightly over the 5-minute limit, but I just wanted to direct. That video was for a classroom audience, and I just wanted to talk directly to the selection committee. So I wanted to do a section on nutrition because I think it's a way to make biology really pertinent to people's lives, because they have power, they have control over what they eat. I was surprised, though, because when I look through the curriculum standards, biology doesn't usually cover nutrition, so I had to tie in some other ways to teach nutrition. That's why I chose to talk about nutrition at the cellular level, to tie it in that way, as well as talking about public health and talking about organizations in science and potential careers in the CDC, the National Institute of Health. So that's why I chose to do nutrition.